G'day everybody, welcome to another Affinity Photo tutorial. This week I'm going to do a fantasy composite. So as usual, let's get started. I'm going to bring over my first picture, which is the picture of the cliff here. And I've already made a selection using my selection brush tool. So I'm going to copy it with a Command C and paste it over onto my picture here with a Command V. Just double clicking on the background here, we can resize the cliff. And Command 0 to bring that up a bit bigger, and I'm just going to move this over to the side a little bit just so I can see the cliff here. Okay, we'll bring our second picture over, which is a picture of another cliff here, and again you can see I've already made a selection using my selection brush tool. So Command C again, over to my picture here and Command V. Again, I'm going to just double click on the background layer so I can see all these little handles to make that a little bit smaller. Command 0, and with this one I'm going to come up to Arrange and flip horizontal and put this one in place down here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, place that one about there. Okay, while I'm here I'm going to just move this one up to the top, call that left cliff, and this one just the right cliff. While I'm here with this right cliff, I'm just going to click on here and I'm going to add a levels. And I'm going to clip that just to the right cliff here and bring down the output white, make that quite dark, and the black level up here, just make that quite dark, darken that up a bit. So that is looking okay at the moment. So let's bring over the picture we're going to use for our background now. I'm just going to make this one a little bit smaller. Grab our background picture with a Command C, paste it with a Command V. Double click on that again so we can resize it. Let's make that a bit bigger with our Command plus. Put it back in the middle here. A little bit smaller, and I'm going to drag that all the way down to the bottom. It's going to be our background picture, and then resize it. And we'll just bring that up so we've got some of those mountains and the sky. That is looking good. About there, that looks pretty good. Command 0. So let's bring over our next picture now, which is the picture of this blue bubble. And you can see again, I've already made a selection. So I'm just going to invert that selection so I can just copy the blue bubble here. So Command C, over to our picture and Command V, and just resize that. Don't worry too much at the moment about the size. We'll resize it where we want it a little bit later. So we've got that blue bubble. Let's come over here to our piece of metal now and Command C. Bring over our piece of metal with a Command V. Again, let's resize that. Just going to make it the size just so it fits inside this blue bubble here, those edges, about as much as we can. Just inside the blue bubble. About there looks pretty good. We're going to cover our blue bubble here with our metal plate, and we're going to use our mesh warp tool. So we're going to come over here to our mesh warp tool and click on mesh warp. Right in the middle here, I'm going to drag this up to the bubble. Down here I'm going to do the same all the way down and on each of these sides. Now, if we click on these little handles, we can start to manipulate our bubble so it covers all of that blue. We might have to move this little node up. And just go around and make sure we cover all of that blue bubble. Okay, once we're happy, we can hit apply. So we've covered up the whole of the blue bubble here. The other thing I'm going to do on that metal layer, so let's just name that metal plate so we know where we're at. Let's just call this one blue bubble. Back on the metal plate, let's come up here to filters, distort and spherical here. Click on that. Let's bring the intensity all the way up and then the radius all the way up as well. And hit apply. Now it gives us a really nice looking round sphere now. So that looks pretty good. And now we can resize it. So let's just click on both of these, the bubble and the metal plate, over to our move tool. And now holding shift down so we keep shape, we can put this in place. I'm going to put it right up the top here. You can make it as big or as small as you like. About there looks pretty good. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut some of these plates out. So we're going to click on our metal plate here. Let's make this a little bit bigger with our Command plus and drag this down so we can see what we're doing. Okay, on our metal plate here, we're going to grab our freehand selection tool here. And the first plate I'm going to cut out is this one. So I'm going to hold my Shift key down and drag around this plate. And that's going to put a selection around that plate. So on the metal layer here, I'm going to go Command J. See, it's made a copy of that plate. Back on the metal plate here, I'm clicking on the metal plate. I'm going to hit delete. See on the little thumbnail now that has actually taken away that part of the plate underneath. Let's go Command D. Still on the metal plate here, grabbing our freehand selection tool again. I'm going to do this metal plate here, holding my Shift key down, going along the metal plate here. Got our selection, so we're on that metal plate layer, Command J, back onto our metal plate layer and hit delete. And Command D, get rid of the marching ants. Staying on the metal plate layer, back on our freehand selection tool, going to do this plate here, holding my Shift key down. Okay, again Command J, back onto the metal plate and delete. Get rid of those marching ants with a Command D. I'm going to do one more, this plate here. So holding my Shift key again. Okay, Command J, back on my metal plate layer and delete. And Command D to get rid of those marching ants. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 metal plate pieces. Let's start with the top one here. Click on the top metal plate here. Let's come over here to our mesh warp tool again. And for this one, I'm just going to bring that up just about there. So it looks like it's peeling away. Hit apply. So we've got our metal plate there. Next one, mesh warp again. This middle one here. This one, I'm going to peel back this way. Quite a bit so we don't see that blue. We can fix that up. And hit apply. So we've got that peeling back that way. And this one I'm simply going to drag down this way and peel that one back that way. About there, looks pretty good. Hit apply. Got one more, this one here, mesh warp. And this one I'm just going to peel back just like that. Maybe it's holding on by one little thread there. So that looks pretty good. Let's hit apply. We've got all of our plates now peeled back. Grab them all together holding Shift. So let's group all these together with a Command G and come down here to Layer Effects. On that group of metal plates, we're just going to add a bevel and emboss. Change both of these highlights and shadows to both to black. And we're going to change this to inner. And leave our radius at 5 pixels, and you can see it's just enhanced those cutouts and put some shadow and made them look a little bit better. Let's click off that. The other thing I'm going to do while I'm here, just click on this blue bubble layer and add a new pixel layer. I'm going to grab our brush, and the brush we're going to use is not quite a soft brush but not quite a hard brush, so this one here is fine. Color is going to be black and my flow is going to be 25%. Fairly small brush, and we're just going to highlight some of these areas here. Once we're happy with that, let's just turn that down a little bit, about 50%. Just adds a little bit more depth to some of those cutouts. So let's hit Command 0, make that a little bit smaller again. Okay, the next thing we'll do is bring over our metal ring here. So let's just grab that with a Command C. Come over to our picture with a Command V. Let's resize it. I'm going to add it on the end here. See what sort of size we want. Maybe a tiny little bit bigger. Pretty good about there. So let's recolor that. So let's come down here to adjustments and recolor. Flip that to that metal ring there. Let's put it into the oranges for a sort of rusty color and bring down the saturation a little bit. and bring down the lightness a little bit just to try and blend that into that picture a little bit better. That looks pretty good. Make a copy, Command J, and let's bring one over to this side. Up here to arrange and flip horizontal. Put this one in place. Out there looks pretty good. Let's add a pixel layer on top. Over here to our brush. I'm going to have a sort of nice soft brush. The color is going to be black, and my flow I'm going to take all the way down really low to about 3%, 3 or 4%. Let's zoom in all the way to here, make our brush a lot smaller using our right and left bracket keys. And I'm just going to add a little bit of black shadow to each of these. Hopefully blending that in a little bit better. Just round the edge. There we go, Command 0, that's not looking too bad. Drop that shadow a little bit. Okay, so we've got our metal rings in place and we've got our metal ball in place. So what we're going to do now is bring over our dragon. So let's go Command C, over to our picture here and Command V. Double click on him and come to our Move tool and resize. Okay, let's just cover our metal ball here with our dragon, Command 0. We're going to recolor our dragon as well. So let's come down here to our adjustments and recolor. And clip that recolor to our dragon. Let's make our dragon nice and dragony green. There we go. Top of our dragon, we're going to add a new pixel layer as well. Going to grab our brush again. Have our flow at about 15%. Change our color to red, a really nice red. And on that pixel layer, we're going to change the blend mode to hue, dragon a little bit bigger, our brush a little bit bigger, and we're going to paint that eye red. There we go, that looks pretty good. We've got a red eye for our dragon there. Clicking on our dragon here, let's change the opacity a little bit and grab our Move tool. Make sure we've got both of these selected. Let's move it to where we want our dragon's eye to be, maybe right above in this opening here. Maybe drag that out a little bit. Looks pretty good about there. Let's bring the opacity back up. Come down here to our blue bubble. Let's just go selection from layer. So we've got that selection of our dragon here. On our dragon, we can add a mask. There we go. Dragon and the eye, let's group that together. Call that our dragon group. Now, with this dragon group, I'm going to bring it all the way underneath the blue bubble. See it disappear. You can just see it through there. Let's go Command D, get rid of those marching ants. Make sure our blue bubble's opacity is at 100%. Let's add a mask to that blue bubble. Get our colors back to default. Over here to our brush. Flow is okay at 15%, but I want a fairly big brush. Let's change our color to black with X on our keyboard, and you can see we can see our dragon coming through now. And so I'm just going to go over lightly where our dragon is. Want to keep some of that blue as well, like there, in sort of like a liquid blue. So that looks pretty good. What we're going to do now is add a new pixel layer just above the blue bubble here. I'm going to call that shadow. Grab our brush, which is a nice soft brush. Color is still black. We're going to bring our flow all the way down again, quite low, to about 4%. Make our brush a little bit smaller. Bring this down a little bit. We want to add some depth here. So we're going to use our brush. We're going to add some depth by painting some shadow around these areas here. Puts our sort of dragon a little bit further back and makes that look a little bit better. So there we go, we've got our shadow in place. So Command 0 to get it back to the size that we want. So that's looking pretty good at the moment. So the next thing we're going to do is bring over our chain. So we've got our chain here. Already cut it out, as you can see again. So let's go Command C. Back over here to our picture and Command V. Double click on that again and over to our Move tool. Let's resize that chain all the way to about here and go Command 0 to come back to normal size. Now with this chain, I want to recolor that one again. And as you remember, we did the recolor on the links here. So let's just copy that. Command J, drag one of those up to our chain and clip it to our chain. And you can see now that we've got that color on our chain as well. So this chain we want behind this cliff here. Let's just go on here and rename this left chain. Drag it all the way under the cliff here, the left cliff. Click on that chain. Come up here to our Move tool. We've got our Move tool selected and we're just going to move that around. Make it smaller and we just want to connect with our link here. Put it there so it's connecting with our link. I'm going to zoom in on our left link here. I'm going to add a mask. Grab my brush tool again. The flow all the way up to 100% and we are painting in black again. Let's zoom in, make our brush a lot smaller, and I'm just going to take away the middle of this link here. Looks like it's going through. I'm going to change back to white and just put this bit back. There we go. It looks like that link is going through. So Command 0 to get back. Let's make a copy of that chain. Command J. Let's put this one underneath our other cliff here. Grab our Move tool, arrange and flip horizontal. Let's put this one over here. Again, let's zoom in. Again, we're going to do the same with the right link now. Let's add a mask. Clicking on the mask, grab our brush tool. We've still got the flow at 100% and we need to change back to black again. Zoom in a little bit more. Again, let's take out a bit here. Back to white to put this bit back in. Just swap between black and white until we get it sort of looking like that link is going through the other chain. And that looks pretty good. So let's go Command 0. So we've got both of our chains linked up here. Okay, now we can add some other details. So right on top of the group here, I'm just going to add another pixel layer. It's going to be the metal ball shadow. With my brush, bringing the flow all the way down again, quite low, to about probably 5%, I think. Black paintbrush. We want to be painting in black and a fairly big brush. And I'm just going to paint in some shadow on this metal ball here, just on this side, because most of our light is on this side here. So I'm going to add darkness on this side, and I'm going to bring it down on that pane as well. Just bring some darkness down, all the way down this side here. Looks pretty good. Let's change over to a white brush and we'll just add some more lightness on this side, on this chain here as well. Now we're going to start adding some color to our photograph. So right on top, the first thing I'm going to do is another adjustment layer, and I'm going to come down here to lens filter and put a lens filter right on top. The color is orange here. We can keep that color at orange. And let's just add a little bit of orange background. I'm going to add another adjustment, and it's going to be on our adjustment layers. I'm going to add split toning right on top here. And with my shadows, I want my shadows to be more blue. So I'm going to bring the shadow hue up into the blue and then bring up the shadow saturation to about 40%. With my highlights, I want them to be in the orange. So I want more orange in my highlights. I'm going to bring that highlight saturation up again to about 40%. I'm going to add some clarity. So above the split toning here on the live filters, I'm going to come down here to clarity. And I'm going to drag that out and on top. I'm going to turn that clarity all the way up. I'm going to invert that with the Command I. The white brush at 100%. I'm going to paint that clarity onto my picture here, just on the metal. That a little bit more clarity. Make my brush a little bit smaller. Might bring that down on these chains as well. Okay, that is looking pretty good. Going to also add a curve. So down on our adjustments again, onto curves, right on top. Darken that whole picture up a little bit. Darker, just like that. Not that dark. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to add my birds in now. So just underneath all these colors, let's come over here to our bird picture. Command C. Back to our picture here and Command V. Let's double click on that and make it quite small. Command 0 again. Change the blend mode of the bird layer to darken. Let's resize that and put birds in place. Let's duplicate that layer. Command J. Bring some birds down the bottom here as well. And just with your erase brush with the birds, if there's any over our picture here, just get rid of them. Okay, we might do one more thing. Let's just grab our ellipse tool here and make a circle. Got it on this color gray here. Let's add a Gaussian blur, and let's take that Gaussian blur all the way up. Come over here to our move tool, just on the ellipse here, and make that quite big. Add a little bit more mist down the bottom here. So there we go, everybody. That is my fantasy composite for this week. I hope you have enjoyed the tutorial. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you know when I'm uploading a new video. And if you head over to the Buy Me a Coffee site, I'll have this metal ball already done for you. All you have to do is copy and paste it. It'll be an AF file, an Affinity Photo file with both of these layers included. That will be absolutely free on the Buy Me a Coffee site. So until next time, everyone, I'll say to you, stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next video.